Welcome, travelling friends of Australia. We are Willem and Anneke, and we hope you enjoy this episode of our podcast,
where we have a chat to other travellers and give them the opportunity to tell their stories and share the tips that they've learned along the way.
Travelling friends of Australia. All right, we got OZLAPN, Graham and Joe, and they have some very exciting journeys and stories that they have to tell to us today. So, welcome, Graham and Joe. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Tell us a bit about who OZLAPN is and who Graham and Joe is.
Well, we met in 2002. We come from a blended family. Graham's got 7 kids, I've got 3. So that's 10. We've got 9 grandkids now. Yep. What did we do? We got engaged in 2005.
And that was I proposed to Joe on the Spirit of Tasmania, going across. We had a camper van back then, a camp trailer, sorry. And we went across and I proposed to her. I'd rung up, they'd upgraded me to a porthole window. I'd got a bottle of Wolf Blass on the table ready. And when we got there, it took so long to get on the boat. Joe just said, put the trackies on, let's go to bed. I said, no, we better dress up a bit and go down and have a little bit of a... Anyway, we went down and I proposed to her, got down on my knee, and she said yes. And luckily she did, otherwise I would have been throwing myself over the back of the boat.
So we got married in 2007.
2007, yep. And we had our honeymoon back in Tasmania, and we hired a little listener van bus that we travelled around in for about 5 weeks. It was really good. And I've been in defence for 40 years. I was in the Royal Australian Survey Corps for 20, and the Australian Geospatial Intelligence Organisation for another 20. And you?
And I was a nurse for 40 years.
Yeah.
And we've been retired for
4 years now. So it can't go so quick, I tell you. And our home base is Bendigo, and here we are.
And so traveling full time, is that just something you've decided on recently?
No, well, so we've always travelled, like I did with work, and like before we met, we both had like trips with our parents up to Kalbarri and all that sort of stuff when we were in WA.
And I was a swimmer, so I'd go around straight swim to competitions and things. But when we both got together, I hadn't done really that much camping.
Yeah. So a
So
lot of my survey work was going out and actually building the survey stations and mixing the concrete and putting the brass plaque in and tracking satellites and so that was sort of what we did, and obviously did scouts and all that sort of stuff too. But over time, with our kids and that, we
did a lot of camping in tents.
We never made an issue that we had kids, and we weren't going to let our kids stop us. So we would take our kids everywhere, and so yeah. So
we used to have.
Yeah. So I think
they've all grown up now. They're all doing their own camping.
Yeah, they've got their Prado and they've got their things on, and they show us pictures and what they're doing, and hopefully we'll get together sometime and do it. But yeah, we've done our trips overseas, and luckily we did it before COVID came in. But I think we're just so fortunate in Australia that you can actually travel around, and that's what we want to do. We just want to spend time. We just want to sit by a river, explore, have a glass of wine, have no real plan, apart from a big loop plan, but just take every day as it comes and just enjoy.
Yeah. So you put your plans on hold because of COVID. So when's the big lap start then?
Well, hopefully next year. I know there's a couple more grandkids coming though, and they're going, Mom, I need some help.
And I said we could always fly home for a week or 2 if we have to.
Yeah.
Just dump the van and that, so that'd be good.
But hopefully next winter.
Yeah, next winter. We've got my brother-in-law, Joe's sister. We were meant to be heading up and like doing the Gibb River Road and stuff with them, but they're stuck up there, we're stuck down here, so that's the plan. You always got to have a plan, I reckon. Always an escape plan. It doesn't matter if it's just down the road, but you've got to have a plan to work towards.
And then the financial part of it, so how are you going to finance it all once you start going?
Well, we're pretty fortunate because we've worked for 40 years each, and with good defence and Commonwealth jobs and stuff like that. So, really, yeah. But
caravanning
Yeah,
than we do at home.
yeah,
Because
because
Graham's always at Aldi.
I love Aldi. And like, I'd be down at Aldi about 3 times a day. Do you have Aldi over in WA?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wednesdays and Saturdays, like you line up there, the adrenaline is just pumping. I hope they don't get that last thing. And but when we're by the river, like you've got to eat what you've got to drink what you drink, and it's just, and if you're not traveling too often, it's just you don't use much money at all.
And where do you put everything that you buy if you buy stuff? Because you're in a caravan, you can't put it everywhere. You don't have enough space.
Exactly. It's really funny you say that, because we've had a small caravan, and when we sold that, we emptied everything out, and we had like 8 cans of fly spray, and we
didn't even know we had.
Yeah, there was also
just
stuff.
kept buying it.
And you think, oh, I need another thing of peanut butter. I just need that, and obviously there's weight issues when you're carrying stuff, and you've got to prioritise, and
So tell us, now that we're talking about the setup, tell us a bit, what do you have there for the setup?
Okay, so we've got a 22-foot concept caravan, semi-off-road. It's got an ATM of 3369 kilos. We ended up, tell me how we actually ended up getting it. It was made up for us before we got it.
Oh no, we went to a caravan show to get a little
ice blower cooler.
For our other caravan.
$26 it was going to cost.
And we came out with that caravan.
Yeah.
We thought we really need to upgrade. We'll just have a look.
Yeah.
And then it was reduced dramatically.
Yeah,
it
we're
was
very
built
lucky.
for someone else, and
He couldn't pick it up.
Something had happened.
It was like a sign.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I think we might need to put a bid in for this.
So we did it pretty quickly, and like then we
walked out, and I felt,
we
what
got
have we
sick.
done?
Because we didn't have a car or anything to pull it. And we didn't have the money either. We only had like $6,000 in our savings that we put on as a deposit. But we said to them, how about you keep it in the yard as a demo? And they had it for about 6 months until we worked out how we're going to pay for it.
Wow.
And but the gentleman had everything on it. It's got satellite, it's got 4 water tanks, it's got a gas heater in it. But the main thing we like is it's actually got a shower and a toilet. And like, it means like I've dug holes all my life. We've had portaloos, the whole lot. It's just so nice to have your own toilet and shower.
Yeah.
And we're going to use it. A lot of people have them and they don't use them. We're going to use ours as much as we can.
Good stuff.
We do.
Yeah. So did you end up getting the...
Pardon?
Did you end up getting the cooler?
No. We're in too much shock as he walked out. So we've got a Toyota Land Cruiser. It's a GXL V8, and we found out that was the only thing that was going to pull a caravan of that sort of weight. You need something heavier than the van, and you're still got to be very careful with your weights.
Yeah.
That does a good job. It's got we bought that second hand from an auction up in Sydney, and the guy had already gone around Australia in it, so it already had the pump-up suspension at the back. Had the drawers. We've put our own little fridge in, and it had the bull bar and the lights and all that type of stuff. We've just changed. The main thing we changed with the number plates, and we've got custom OZLAPN number plates now. So that's
amazing.
Cool.
Nice.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah, they say, what's your rego? I'm thinking, I can't remember.
Yes.
OZLAPN. And we've got a porter boat. So we've got a 10-foot collapsible boat that actually folds up like a surfboard on the top of our cruiser.
Wow.
And we've got a 5-horsepower motor that goes on the back of the caravan.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's something I would want.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good.
It's really sturdy.
Oh, yeah.
It's really better than a tinny.
And we've had like 4 people in it easily putting 15 Ks up the Murray River and back. And
wow.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
We'll have to get some details.
Yeah, check it out. I've noticed that when I looked at your page, I noticed you have a special logo. How did that logo come about, if you can explain that?
Okay, so we've got sort of 2 logos. We've got the OZLAPN ones that we've got on our shirts here and on our hats.
Yeah.
And that's
that looks like a number plate.
It is the number plate, yeah. So that's our number plate. But the other logo, have you got that over there, Joey? Yeah, so this one, yeah, that's
the one, yeah.
Okay, so we had that made up by a local friend who's an artist, and basically it's trying to describe the fact that well, you've got the Southern Cross up here, so we're in the Southern Hemisphere. We've got a compass. We need that because we keep on getting lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the sky and the ground to explore. And I just thought, like, the colour there is just so much Ayers Rock on that. So
Yes.
Yeah.
that's our logo. And we've got that on the back of our car and our caravan, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very Australian. It's good.
I think you need a logo. I think you need a brand. And like, I don't know why we've got a brand because we're not selling anything, but it's fun. Everyone else does
I
it.
think people just, when they notice you, they know exactly who you are just by looking at that. You don't have to explain to anyone who you are because they'll know when they see that. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, dead right.
Yeah.
Mm.
I have a weird question as well.
Oh.
People always, we hear a lot of people saying that they don't like to be called grey nomads. So what is your take on being called grey nomads?
No, we're
you've
not.
ever
That's
been
actually
called that.
that's hair dye. That's actually hair dye. It's not grey. No, it's actually really weird. I'm glad you asked that question because I thought I'd like to put this across, but like, you know, we don't feel old, and I think I know. Well, that's right.
We're actually in the middle of doing the gardening at the
We've
minute.
got, we've just got
today.
5 cubic meters of stuff we're going to be spreading after this. So I'm going to make this as long as I can, so I don't
Okay.
have to go out and do any work.
Have a good rest.
Okay, so grey nomads. I don't think it matters if your hair's grey or it's black or it's fallen out or whatever. It's the people, and like a lot of people we've met, like they'll sit around caravan parks and have cups of teas, and that's great. That's what they want to do, and we can do that too. But we're more the sort of the explorer ones, and yeah. So we're sort of crossed between a grey nomad and a 16, 17, 18-year-old with a swag going out the back and camping.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you never
heard that, you know, a lot of people, because they are grey, they feel offended by being called grey nomads, and we just don't know why. So we're trying to find out that.
Yeah, no, I actually feel really extinguished.
Yeah, okay.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Extinguished.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I get that. Okay, so
you guys have had some involvement with like the grey nomads advertising on car sales, haven't you? Or
yes. Well, that was Joe's idea.
That was in the middle of COVID, and we saw one of their little movie clips.
Yeah, they had about 6 or 7, quite funny.
And
I've seen them all, yeah.
Yeah, Steve Bisley, he came out of the caravan in a dressing gown, and I said, man, that looks just like you. And we were so bored, we decided to do a little
stay-at-home
stay-at-home thing. So we just copied a little bit of, not copied, but sort of, the reenactment, and pretended Graham was, I don't know, in the caravan, and I was staying in here, and
well, it was real fun.
I looked just like him.
We were actually, to be really honest, we were actually really disappointed because we got to the Murray River and we were turned back by the police that we couldn't do our big lap. And we just went home totally honest. And we thought, well, we've got to do something. And like, so we did like stay at home 1, stay at home 2. And I think 1's better than 2. 2 was our trip to Uluru virtually. And
I grew some Easter eggs.
You grew some Easter eggs. Yeah, that's right, it was Easter. But no,
with the grandkids.
With the grandkids. But it was fun. And yeah, so you can do stuff. You know, as if you've seen it, we went fishing in the backyard. I caught some toilet rolls. And, well, we would have been in trouble if we hadn't caught those toilet rolls because we were just about out.
Yeah, they were going scarce there for a while, haven't they?
And did you see that big one? It was huge. I actually shared that with the neighbours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think COVID obviously brought a lot of, you know, heartache for people, but it also brought, like, I don't know, I think a lot of people have realized that like life is too short, and you know, the time that you do have, you need to go and do something that you really enjoy. So I think it's brought out a really good stuff as well. And like I say, you guys have created something like that you wouldn't have created probably if you had to go, you didn't go back to home and got stuck in COVID.
Yeah,
so.
I think we're going to look back in a couple of years and think, you know, that was actually a good thing that happened.
Yeah.
You know, not just, for the whole world.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's good if people could see that, if people
Mm.
can see the actual good that came out of it instead of just looking at the bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think we're
I
pretty
agree.
lucky being in Australia. Like, I feel so sorry for the people overseas,
Yeah.
and we're down to 2 weeks now in Victoria where there's no new cases or deaths,
Yeah, it's
which is
amazing.
really cool. One day Western Australia will let us come back, but we're still waiting.
Well, the borders opened last night at midnight. So
Yeah, but I think Victoria needs to be 2
Victorians
weeks.
and
They
Queensland,
still need to
yeah.
be 2 weeks.
Yeah, 28 days or something like that.
Oh, is it 28 days? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, But it'll happen.
Yeah,
It'll
We'll be coming
happen,
down the West Coast. We'll be spearfishing and snorkeling at Ningaloo and all that sort of stuff. And
So you guys have been to WA before, I'm
I'm
assuming?
West Australian. Yeah, I'm West Australian.
Yeah.
I've taken Joe across, flew across for a party. But we haven't, I've travelled the Nullarbor myself 26 times across with work. Yeah. But that was like staying in motels. But we want to do it slowly. We want to do it together and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, WA definitely. I think if you take your time, there's so much to see. So big and yeah.
So favorite destinations that you've seen, what are they, and which ones do you still want to go and see?
I think York Peninsula.
Yeah, York Peninsula is one of our favourite. Down to Pondalowry. From there, it's a national park. From there, you can see down to Kangaroo Island. So it's very similar to Kangaroo Island, but you don't have to catch the ferry. So there's lots of good stores, little towns on the way down. But it's just very similar to Esperance and Albany with the rocks and the white sand and stuff like that.
We love Esperance.
Oh yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous down there.
And
Tassie. Yeah. So they're places that are far away, but then the close things are good too. So we've got a camp it's called English's Bridge, which is about 20 k's north of Bendigo. When we were working, we'd get home on a Friday night. Joe would be home before me. She'd have the caravan packed. We'd be out there by tea time. We'd spend the afternoon there and then the weekend there, back on Sunday. And it just felt like you were
been away for a week.
Weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. And sometimes we've been out there and we've had to travel back just to feed the cat or do a few laps in the pool and just go back out there. So, in a short distance, you don't want to travel a long way because it takes too much time out of your trip. So bucket list is still going around Oz. We're able to camp from our car. We've got a side tent. So we'll be dumping a van hopefully up at Derby and then doing the Gibb River Road. We'll come in from the east and then I don't want to go right through the Gibb River Road. I just want to do either ends and see all the good things like the bumpy bits. And most places in Victoria we've already covered, but there's still lots of places to explore. It's exciting.
Oh, so exciting.
Yeah.
We've got a bucket list too.
We've got a big list.
Growing.
Yeah, and it's growing. And the more people we interview, the bigger it's growing. Yeah. So tell us about any funny or unforgettable stories that you encountered along your travels so far.
Yeah.
Okay, so on our engagement, we went down to Cygnet, which is in Tasmania, and there's a couple down there in a Mazda bus, and he had a flat tyre. So I went over to actually help him fix his flat tyre, and then
we noticed that they had Victorian number plates.
Yeah.
And we said, "Where are you from?" And they said, "Bendigo." And I said, "We're from Bendigo too." And then we started chatting, and I went to school with, it was Lindsay and Heath, and I went to school with Lindsay. So Lindsay and I chatted away about all the people we knew, and poor Graham and Heath are sitting there going, "We don't know each other." And
they just lived down the street. They lived down the street from us, and if you've seen some of our movies, they're with us. And they've got the two big
so we've kept in touch ever since. That was 2005. So, we've been on a few trips with them.
Yep. And another one is when we're up in Launceston watching the Whitlams on one of our trips, a concert there, and people parked next to us was Alex and Eva, and they had the same brand of van that we had,
the bus.
Devil Campers or something over there in Tassie. Nice people. They're from Austria, Anyway, after 3 weeks later, we're travelling around. We're down in Hobart. We treated ourselves to a hotel room at Hadley's. And I noticed that they had cheap pots just down the road. And so we went down to get a couple of cheap pots. And these guys walked in. And like I said, hey! And I could not believe it. Since then, they've come out to Australia about 4 times and stayed with us.
Yep.
We've done the Great Ocean Road with them.
And we went and stayed with them last year. That was our trip to Europe.
In Austria, 2 weeks in Austria.
Wow.
Amazing.
And they came to Sydney and got married.
Yeah,
and we sort of gave them away.
I was the best man.
Wow.
And it was lovely.
And so you just don't know who's around the corner and fate and all that type of stuff, especially when you're travelling, who you're going to find. It's pretty cool.
So it was actually Evelyn though. Eva. We met Eva. Eva was a friend of theirs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's Eva.
Yeah. And Evelyn.
That was later.
Alex and Evelyn.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
so that was a good story. A bad story was we're at Pondalowry and I was getting later in the afternoon. I was fixing my fishing lines to my hooks. And as I'm trying to tighten the knots, it went zip like that. And I got this massive big hook in my finger and we could not get it out. Although Jo was a nurse and she had pliers, she could not get it out. And we had to drive 100 kilometres to Midland or Maitland or whatever it is, halfway up the York Peninsula to get to the hospital to have them take it out. And it took ages to get out. So always have a good first aid kit, but be ready to travel.
You would have had to have gone to the doctors.
Well, they had a sign in the toilet saying, ring this number for real emergencies and we'll send a helicopter. And I thought, well, it's not that bad.
No.
But the funny thing is, as I'm driving along like this with a finger up the hook in it. I've got so many people waving to me.
Yeah, they think you're waving at them.
Oh, no.
That's great. See, there's a silver lining to that.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And just a quick one, being prepared. We came back from South Australia, a car that had rolled over and it had just rolled over and it was on its roof. And that feeling of getting out, not knowing if the person was okay. Another guy stopped and we wedged the door open and a young girl got out. She was okay, but we stayed with her until the police came and that.
Yeah.
But that was scary. So you just never know what's around the next corner.
Mm.
You're very lucky, Graham. You got a nurse right there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a dementia nurse.
Yeah, that's why we get on so well, because I'm demented.
She's always looking after you.
Yeah, always.
She's my carer.
Nice.
I'm interested to know more about some of the photos I've seen of you cooking and stuff. Are you guys like real big on food and
Who does
got
the
your
cooking?
own recipes and
What's the speciality?
yeah?
Whatever comes.
Yeah. So if
we're dabbling with the camp cooking. Like
camp oven and stuff like that.
Ground,
So we're doing that at the moment, which is pretty cool. And basically, I did a Thai cooking course, so I like wok cooking. So anything we can chuck in the wok, do that.
Easy for camping.
Yeah. Down at Eyre Peninsula, down the national park there, they have razorfish. And one thing we do, like when we travel, we read the history of the place we go to and stuff like that. Now, razorfish, when John Eyre went across the Nullarbor, he actually stopped there and ate razorfish. So we found razorfish and you open it up and it's like a beautiful medallion. But we wok that up and you can just sort of cook it. So as long as you've got some spices and fresh herbs and all that type of stuff, you can just about do anything. And what we also do is we cook, if we do a stir fry something here at home, we'll always do double and then cryovac it down and make it really flat and freeze it so that we can actually have them all lined up in our freezer in either the car or the caravan.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just pull it out, defrost it, put it in boiling water. So it's already cooked. You've just heated it up. You haven't done any pots and just squeeze it onto your plate. And it's just so easy.
That's an awesome tip.
That's a great tip.
Have you got any more tips?
Yeah, cryovac from Aldi.
Yeah.
Aldi.
Yeah.
Aldi. We love Aldi.
Yeah, but that works pretty well. But and also exercising, because if you don't exercise and you keep eating, then
you get fat
like us.
I
That's all
think,
right. Our kids will keep us busy.
yeah, and I think when you're traveling and stuff and you're exploring and stuff, you're not,
Mm.
you know, you're getting that
Yeah.
extra exercise you don't get in when you're home and
Yeah. You guys have
Yeah.
any advice
Stuff.
for other travelers that are, wanting to start out or that are currently
Yeah.
out on the road?
Yeah. Just off the top of my head, that's funny. Yeah, I reckon be prepared, know where you're actually going. So we actually pack differently when we go. If we know we're going to a caravan park, we'll put all the electrical stuff in. But if we know we're just going out into the bush, then that all comes out of the van. We make sure we've got a lot of the bush fire, the fire stuff and the cooking stuff. If you're going somewhere and it's going to be busy, make sure you book ahead. If you have to book ahead, we try not to, but you don't want to get somewhere and then find out there's no free camping and there's no caravan parks. I think local knowledge is really important. Talking to the people, talking to the information centres, knowing, and they're really good for telling you about road conditions. They're good to tell you the condition of drinking water and all that type of stuff. Make sure you buy one of those little brass multi-tap things so you can actually borrow water from councils and that if you can't find any other water that you can't turn the tap on. That's really handy. You get them from Bunnings. They're pretty handy. We always cross-reference our Wikicamps information with other types of references and stuff and local knowledge and other campers. You've got to be careful with other campers because you've got to get a feeling for what they're looking at because what they're thinking is great might not be what you want. But if you know the people, then that's really good. And then also read all the reviews. Wikicamps obviously is a really good one. Read the reviews. Don't read the first one, read a number because it might be slanted at the first one. And have a look at the photos. And yeah, that's about it.
And we haven't really had a bad camp, have we?
No.
It's usually been pretty good.
Yeah, had fun.
Yeah. I guess you can rock up to any place and, it's what you make of it. If it's not a great place, then you make it great by doing your own thing and chasing something.
I think the worst ones are where it's been really, really windy and you can't sort of really get out and do stuff. And when you try to talk and use your microphone and stuff like that, it's just about getting blown away. Once we're at Burra, and it rained. We could see this black cloud that's in South Australia coming behind us. We had to get into Burra. We camped at the showground, and it was torrential. There was water coming into our caravan in places I never thought it could come in. We had pots and pans everywhere, and the soil outside was washed away. But then that's the experience. And they'd had a drought, but they weren't in drought then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually happens in the drought places, hey, when rains and then it's like flood because the ground's so hard.
You got to watch out where you can.
The ground is so hard, the water doesn't actually go in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, also, could you guys let our listeners know where they can find you guys? To follow your journey
and what they can expect from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're basically OZLAPN, as we've already said. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We're fairly new to YouTube, so some of the really early ones are when we're trying to learn the drone and stuff like that. We're trying to be more informative about what we're doing, about places to see and that. But hopefully we'll catch up with everyone on the road and we can share stories and over a fire and have a red wine and listen to the birds and let's go now. Let's air this now. Let's get that van going.
That's it.
I know, that's what we feel like too.
Yeah. Well, it's been really good and we really appreciate having the time to talk to you guys. And we really love your channel, your podcast. And as I said, we caught up with watching some friends, the Irish Irish Wanderers?
Yeah.
Wanderers, yeah. And I couldn't believe it. I quickly sent a message as soon as I saw it. I said, guys, we actually saw you talking. It's so good. And so, maybe some people out there who've seen us on Instagram will see us and say, hey, you just feel like you know people a bit better when you see them talking. You know a bit about them.
It's what we've tried to, create is when you meet people on the road, you're going to have this kind of conversation and talk all about your travels and talk about all this kind of stuff, but doing it beforehand and just like creating that community where now you guys will probably see some of those couples on the road, and
Yep.
you'll be straight away like, hey, you guys are,
We know each other.
We've listened to your podcast.
Yeah.
That's right. So I've got another tip, just a quick one if there's time. What's really good is actually looking at everybody else's YouTube channels where they're going to places you want to go. And we'll sit in the lounge room with pen and paper and jot down different camps and stuff like that. And then we'll go, using the laptop, go to Google Earth. And in Google Earth, we'll actually put a point in where they've said stuff. We'll make comments about what they've said. So you've got one point of reference as you bring up Google Earth, and then you can zoom into each of those places and say, yeah, that's somewhere, and like Trip in the Van or Sparky's on the Loose or whatever said that was good or that was bad, and cross-reference it with wiki camps, and then, cool.
That's clever. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, we hate this part of saying goodbye and, finishing the podcast here, but...
It was lovely talking to you guys and getting to know you.
I'm sure we'll talk to you guys again.
Yeah, we'll see each other on the road.
Okay.
Hope so.
Yeah.
All right, Graham and Joe, have an awesome Saturday.
Go enjoy the garden.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, we're going out.
Yeah, getting digging.
Hard work.
All right.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you. See ya.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.